Preach is crying right now, swinging from a monkey branch.
Bro.
Eating a banana, playing some Donkey Kong on an N64 because he's a stupid prick. He's a window-licking stupid nigga.
What?
They accuse you of calling him making monkey noises. You said he looks like a monkey.
He does.
No,
He does.
He doesn't mean that.
Hold on, you Albanian fuck. I'm about to show y'all he looks
Why
like a
are you
monkey right
saying
now.
that, bro?
Hold on, I'm gonna try.
He does.
Hold on, he does look like a monkey. Come on, man. You tell me that don't look like a fucking monkey?
Chat.
Come on.
Do you think he looks like Donkey Kong? Then when they don't know how to respond to you, they'll just say like, "Oh, you made monkey noises. You're a racist person."
Which, by the way,
It was retard noises to be exact, because I was calling Preach a retarded window licker. But after looking at that Donkey Kong photo, I can conclude that he's also a monkey.
okay, all right.
Like, bro, I'm ready to end them. Like, they want to go here and say, you're a racist, Myron. Cool. The fucking Arab guy that's also black, that literally, like, I hit so many different check marks for the KKK. Y'all want to call me racist? Cool, you fucking fat. Now, let's fucking do it.
Hey, guys.
What up, guys? My name is Sa Ra Garvey. Like, share, comment, and subscribe as we get into this one. Now, many people have asked me to make a video on this. You guys just saw a snippet of what I played. And so what I wanted to do is bring some historical context as to the reason why someone like Myron from Fresh and Fit would act in such a way towards other black people. Now, for many of you that don't know, what I used to do prior to you guys getting, on me when it comes to just pearly things is I used to debate people on racism within the Arab world and racism within the religion of Islam. Now, obviously, some people thought I was just a quote-unquote Islamophobe. A lot of people have said that I'm this, I'm that, I'm shaitan, I'm all this kind of stuff. Because this subject is quite touchy. However, there are a lot of black people around the world that have seen him do this, and they're scratching their heads as to why another black person would call another black person a monkey, would have a KKK hood on his head, and basically throwing racist slants and racist jabs and racist terms at another black man. So what I'm going to do with my knowledge is I'm going to try and take you on a journey down memory lane to try and let you understand that Myron just may be a victim of a culture that hates and has disdain for black people historically. Let's get into it.
Usually when we in the diaspora think about the slave trade, we tend to think about the Atlantic slave trade. But today, I wanted to bring our attention to an event that also disrupted African history, an event that some may even consider much worse.
The Arabic conquest of North Africa was complete by 709 AD. The area was divided into 3 provinces: Egypt with its governor at al-Fustat, Afriqiya with its governor at Kairouan in Tunisia, and the Maghreb in Morocco with its governor at Tangiers. The conquest of North Africa by the Arabic people, like all astoundingly quick Arabic conquests of the 7th and 8th century CE, probably would have never happened had the Arab people not converted to Islam in the early 600s CE. Islam united the Arabian Peninsula and provided the Arab peoples with an impetus to focus on the outside world.
Here's what it gives as the definition of an Arab. Quote, Arabs in the widest sense are those persons whose primary language is Arabic, who comprise the vast bulk of the population of Arabia, Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, Iraq, Anglo-Egyptian, Sudan, North Africa, and the portions of Palestine that don't belong to Israel. See, if I lead you, some of you, many of you will follow. But then what happens when I ain't here? But if I teach you, look at the person next to you and say, you can lead yourself. He who does not know his history is doomed to repeat it. Okay? And once we understand the truth, we can liberate ourselves from the lie.
Those who do not know their history are doomed to repeat it. In the world, the Western world that we live in, we have focused on racism and colonization and fixated it on European people. And while that may be true, what we don't know, and many don't know, is that Arabs, Arab Muslims specifically, invaded Africa 700 to 800 years prior to Europeans getting there and doing the exact same thing. So in and around 642 AD, the Arabs came into Africa, raping, pillaging, enslaving, robbing. In the Western world, generally, we have not been privy to that information. We have not been taught that prior to Europeans coming to colonize Africa, it was in fact Arabs that colonized Africa. Now, Myron is from Sudan, and this is what Sudan looks like. This is where Sudan is. Sudan is part of North Africa, and this is the region where Arabs invaded. And with that came a racism and a disdain for black people that a lot of black people don't understand. So, how serious is the racism in North Africa? Well, North Africa, parts of North Africa, Mauritania to be exact, did not punish people for enslaving black people until 2007.
Mauritania, I think Mauritania in North Africa only outlawed slavery in 2007. Okay, so yeah, they were late. Like, North Africa's been very late on the abolition of the slave stuff, you know, and so which is why it still goes on today. Because if you only outlawed it in like 2007 or something like that, of course we're going to find it in Libya in 2017. Like, it's only 10 years.
Mauritania, in 1981, became the last country in the world to abolish slavery. There was no punishment for slave owners until 2007. The UN says 10 to 20% of Mauritanians live in slavery today. The UN says 10 to 20% of Mauritanians live in slavery today. We traveled to the country on the western fringe of the Sahara to see for ourselves. We would meet people who never knew freedom, people who escaped to find their lives hadn't changed, and abolitionists who have been fighting against slavery for years with minimal results. We weren't allowed to be reporting on slavery. It's a practice the government tries to hide from outsiders. But as we would find, slavery is everywhere in Mauritania, if you know where to look.
Les chaînes, c'est pour les captifs. Les chaînes, c'est pour l'esclave qui vient de devenir esclave. Mais l'esclave descendant de plusieurs générations, il est esclave même dans sa tête. Et il est totalement soumis. Et c'est malheureusement ce genre d'esclavage que nous avons aujourd'hui.
Many black people within the West say that racism exists, and I would agree, it does exist. However, racism within the Muslim Arab world is the only place on this globe that I know of that you can actually buy and sell black people as slaves. The only place. Now, while we may say that racism is bad within the West, many of us have absolutely no idea of how bad racism is in the Arab world. And this is a world that Myron grew up in. As a Sudanese person, he was subject to a culture that disrespected and denigrated black people.
هذا كانوا بيقولوا انه شارع السمر لانه اكثر منطقه بيسكنوها اللي هم احنا خاصه يعني الناس السمر يعني.
كفتاة ذات بشرة سوداء عايشة في قطاع غزة، أنا تعرضت للعنصرية من وأنا طفلة صغيرة وما زلت لهذه اللحظة بتعرض للعنصرية لأسباب أنا بصراحة مش عارفة إيش هي.
كانت زمان بس الحين لا، مش موجود إطلاقا، الأسمر والأبيض واحد.
ما نضحك على حالنا ونقول إنه العنصرية مش موجودة عندنا في المجتمع الفلسطيني،
هي موجودة ولكن بنسبة أقل مما كانت عليه قبل 25 سنة أو 50 سنة.
في فترة الطفولة إلا ما تلاقي فيه أطفال يعني يأذيك بكلمة نوعا ما، كوشي أسمر، وين يا شوكولاتة، وين يا إشي زي هيك.
إذا كان في بينه وبينك مزح احكي بدك إياه، بس مزح بأدب وبحدود.
لما تيجي أسمر بأسلوب الذم بيختلف عن أسمر بأسلوب المدح، لأنه الأغاني كلياتها اللي بتغنوا فيها بالجمال للون البشرة السمراء. يعني
في حد كان يقول لي ما تلمسيني علشان ما أتشحبر، يعني ما يصير أسمر زيي.
كانت المدرسة مملوءة بالسمر وبالبيض، عمرنا ما حسينا إنه في فرق بين أسمر وبين أبيض، دائما مع بعض كأهل كأصدقاء كأصحاب.
وأنا ماشية في الشارع نظرات الناس لإنه نظرات الأطفال، نظرات الناس الكبيرة حتى في السن، يعني بيعتبروني صراحة إن أنا كائن فضائي، بيعطوني نظرات إنه إحنا أفضل منك، إنه أنت أقل منا.
عمر ما واحد أهاني في قصة إنه أنا أسود هو، لا في مدرسة ولا في نادي ولا في عبادة،
حتى في الطريق في الشارع في كل حاجة في السواق ما في.
First of all, I'm very disappointed because most of my followers are Muslim and most of the comments that were coming was why are you so dark, you look ugly. Arabs and South Asians, Middle Eastern people in general, find it okay to be so racist, and most of you guys are Muslim.
It is a subject that many black peoples in general are scared to touch. However, what you saw when the lady said it was that many people within the Middle East, within the Arab world, are just racist. I myself, once I started touching on this, going back around seven years ago, I was called monkey, I was called gorilla, I was called all kinds of racial slurs from Arabic people. Now, I was raised in the Western world thinking that I would be getting that kind of stuff from Europeans. And the last time I was actually called a racial slur by a European was when I was like 9 years old. But in my adulthood, when I started touching on this and trying to show people that a lot of these people are actually racist, that is when I started receiving a lot of overt racism.
What's your name, bro?
Nice to meet you. I'm Nizzy.
Nizzy, how you doing, bro?
I'm alright.
Right, fire away, man.
Alright, my first question. Why do you think the information about blacks being sold in the Arab world is not mainstream news?
I don't think it goes with the mainstream narrative. I feel like blacks and Arabs are a quote-unquote minority, right? In wherever they go. Yeah. That's what they're classed as. And so what I find is minorities generally try to group together and say, look, we're all minorities, we're all going for the same thing. And I think, personally, I don't think people are ready to kind of, you know, say, okay, but we are all a minority, but what I tend to find that black people become the minority's minority.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? We become the minority's minority. So while we are a minority, like when we go to the Arab lands, you know, as you said, I've shown the video on my channel.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Video.
You see the video?
It's quite deep, yeah.
And it's like we are the minority in their lands, and it's like I don't know. And I'd also think there's a game being played. I think minorities play a game of knowing that black people want to unify
with them. Yeah.
With them.
Nowhere can you buy a black person in this world except for the Arab Muslim world. You can't buy no black people no more. Black people are on auction blocks in Europe, but they're on auction blocks in the Muslim Arab world though.
We're ushered into one of two auctions happening on this same night. Crouched at the back of the yard, a floodlight obscuring much of the scene. One by one, men are brought out as the bidding begins. 400, 500, 550, 600, 650, 700. Very quickly, it's over.
And they kept bringing out what they kept referring to in Arabic as al-budaa, the merchandise. All in all, they admitted to us that there were 12 Nigerians that were sold in front of us. And
Take your black ass over to Saudi Arabia, see how they treat you. Take your black ass over to the Muslim world, see how they treat you. Yeah, even to Pakistan, Libya. Don't talk shit to me, bro.
The term slave is synonymous with black. Instead of saying, oh, that bunch of black guys over there, they will say that bunch of slaves over there.
Literally had a non-black Arab girl today use the word Abid right in front of me, and then I was like, hold up, pause, time out, what'd you say? She's like, no, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about those people. Like, what do you mean, those people? Do you not see that I am black as well? Black as hell?
They are still being called by their ancestral names, slaves. Black Iraqis who have lived for hundreds of years in the southern province of Basra say they are discriminated against.
There are traditions in the society. People might say doesn't exist, but we feel it. For example, when two people fight in the street, one is black and the other one is white. They say X had a fight with a slave. It really hurts.
Sha'ban is a member of the movement for free Iraqis. He advocates for more rights for black Iraqis, like parliament representation and more jobs. He says there's a conspiracy against them.
Why is there no black merchant or a senior black official in the state?
Now, what you saw was the term abid or abd. It is the term in Arabic for slave, and it has become synonymous with black people, as you saw with that woman who had to correct her friend, that black lady. She had to correct her friend when her friend saw a bunch of black people. She called them abd or abid, which basically means slave. She had to correct her. In the Arab world, the term slave has become synonymous with black person. And so when we talk about Myron and why he would sit there with a KKK mask on, look at other black people and call them monkeys, this is, in my personal point of view, the reason why, because he comes from a culture that has disdain for black people. One of the things I find interesting is because Myron has African within his lineage, he is actually able to play a game and say, look, I'm black too. I'm black too. However, on the other hand, what he's doing is that he is mocking and making racial slurs against other black people while saying, look, I'm black too. However, culturally, and this is one of the things that people don't understand, culturally, he comes from a culture that has disdain and disrespect for black people. And we will see more of it right now.
More than 95% of the total number of maids and personal assistants in Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates are foreign female workers. There are 750,000 maids in the United Arab Emirates. 96% of Emirates families hire maids to take care of their children. The Ethiopian consulate in Dubai receives between 5 to 10 complaints from housemaids each day, mainly on issues of unpaid salaries and physical abuse.
I was to come and work in a restaurant, only to my surprise that I came and got myself in the house.
Always, I was working from 6:30. I woke up from 6:30 in the morning, and I work until 11, non-stop.
It was just all lies. They lied to me. And I'm very discouraged, very discouraged.
They are very rich, but I'm working for them, but it's hard for them to pay me money. The house is very big, but they are making me sleep in the floor. They treat me like a trash. They don't see me like I'm a human being.
My name is Fuzia Wanjiro from Kenya. I worked as a domestic worker in Saudi Arabia, where I never knew that I was going to Saudi Arabia to work as a domestic worker. I knew I was going to Qatar to work as a receptionist. Then when I reached Qatar, I was told no, you still have another flight to Saudi Arabia. So I was very much confused on what to do. I can't connect back to my people because my SIM card when I arrived in Qatar, it didn't work. They abuse you a lot. The boys on the house, they know you're a slave to them. You don't have anything to say to them. You can't confront them. When you iron clothes, you iron the whole family clothes. You can take even 5 hours, 6 hours ironing clothes. You don't rest that much. They are telling you like, you know, you're beautiful. We know you're beautiful. No, can you do? If they ask for favors, which it's not allowed, because if you do that favor they want, you'll be jailed, or the woman in the house, she'll kill you. Like other girls have been done. Most of girls, like 3 or 4 Kenyans, were killed. About that, they're having an affair with their bosses, because you feel like, if I go back home, what will I go to do? I left my family. I came here to look for something good for them, to benefit them, but here I am. The boss is demanding for something, maybe. Then you feel, okay, he says, if you don't do it, I'll tell my wife you're doing this. So you feel so low. Then you feel, okay, let me do it, because if he lies, or if he says something else, they will believe him than they will believe me. So you end up doing things which you're not supposed to do. If they don't think of you as a human being, they think you as a slave to them. You're begging for your salary because they don't want to give it to you. So after I finished my contract, I asked them, can you let me leave now? They said, no. You need to add up 1 year, then you can leave, so we can be able to get another maid to come and work for us. I was misused. They used to tell me so many things. I used to cry, but I don't have someone to cry to. Until one day I decided to leave their house and go outside. I went to the police station and I stayed there for 3 weeks. They called my boss and my boss was like, don't let her leave. We still need her. Then I said, let me go. I need to see my family. I need to go. I'm tired of you guys. They said, no. The boss says, I'll start saying, I'll accuse you of stealing. I'll say this and this. You won't go back to your country.
Now, as you saw, black women, specifically when it comes to the Arab world, are treated like slaves. They are treated like less than humans. Over here in the UK, you may not have heard it around the rest of the world. There is a I'm trying to be politically correct here. There is an incident where a black woman went over to the Arab world, Dubai specifically, and she was used as a toilet for a number 2. Okay, and that story spread around the UK like wildfire, because black women are consistently disrespected within the Arab world. Now, many have said to me that I've disrespected black women in the past. I don't think I have. I may have discrepancies with the Western black woman. However, my son's black. I have a black woman myself. I don't have a disdain for black women, but in my personal point of view, I will try to hold black women accountable for some of the behaviors that they do. However, in the Arab world, black women are 100% solely disrespected. How does that tie in to Myron? He said this about black women specifically.
You went back to Africa and you found a beautiful, gorgeous woman that you were attracted to. Like, would you date her and marry her?
No, I've told my mom this actually too, because she's asked me. I'm from Sudan. She's like, "Do you want to marry a Sudanese woman?" I said no.
Oh, she doesn't specifically have to be Sudanese.
No, but that's where my parents are from. So
okay,
yeah, the answer is no. Like I have a certain particular look that I'm looking for, and just Sudanese women tend to not match that.
What is the issue with black women?
With all due respect, I don't have to explain myself. Yeah. I'm just going to keep it like that. Like,
period.
Like, just like no one questions a woman when she says, I like this and that, we respect it.
It doesn't matter what.
I don't think any man has to explain himself when it comes to his dating preferences. No one bats an eye. When women say, I want a man that's 6 feet tall, makes a certain amount of money, blah, 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 those are considered preferences. But if I say, hey, man, I don't date black girls like that. Oh, God!
You hate black women.
How dare you?
You know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous.
My mom's black. Your mom's black.
Yeah.
My sister's black. Like, bro, we just have a preference.
If we hate a black woman, would we bring African American women and black women on the show?
Okay, but
all the time.
The question.
Let me finish.
Now, it is my opinion, subjective, that one of the reasons for his disdain of black women or not liking black women is because he comes from a culture that doesn't like black people in general. And we saw that with his, let's just say, his racist rant against other black people, which a lot of black people were actually confused by. Now, I've spoken about this before, as I said. And what has happened is when I speak to other Arab or Arabic speaking peoples, they tend to deny that they actually have this racism.
But let's get this understood. First of all, when we using this context of slavery, we have to understand.
Are you going to answer the question? Because you did this the other night.
Hold on. Check this out. When you use the context of slavery, you have to know what slavery is, right? So slavery is to put yourself in bondage, right? To be in bondage, right? So what the white man did was not just put us in bondage.
No. Let's talk about that goddamn Arab. Let's talk about that Arab first.
We're using this term slavery and making it synonymous across the board, which is a very, very big mistake.
So the Muslims didn't enslave black people? Black Muslims didn't enslave black people the way I'm talking about?
Listen.
Are you, hold on, before we move forward, stop. Before we move forward, I am talking about castration. I'm talking about being murdered. I'm talking about not having the right of freedom to read or write what I want. Are you saying Muslims did not do this in the name of Allah to black people?
I'm telling you, Muslims did not do that in the name of Allah to black people.
All right, yo, I'm done talking to him. Yo, we talk to you later. I can't do this. I'm not doing this. But I'm not going to let no nigga tell me that Muslims didn't oppress and enslave and castrate and lynch and incapacitate, stop us from reading and writing. I'm not going to let no nigga tell me that. In the name of Allah, in the name of the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is the same damn demon that was used and called upon to enslave our people. You can't get away with that. I would be wrong to allow the people to listen to you speak any further. At least keep it real and say.
أن الإنسان لا يخجل من دينه ويقول لا هذا قبل والإسلام لا يدعو إلى هذا. لا، كن قويا في دينك، أظهر دينك. نعم هذا ديني، نعم. الذي لا يرضى أن يعبد الله تبارك وتعالى فإنه يستعبد أو يدفع الجزية أو يدخل في الإسلام أو يقاتل. هذه الأحوال الأربعة أبدا، لا يوجد حال خامس. لذا أول ما يدعى الإنسان يدعى الإسلام، يقول اعبد الله تبارك وتعالى. الله خلقك لتعبده، فإذا قال لا أريد أن أعبد الله تبارك، نقول تعيش في أرض الله ولا تعبده، ادفع الجزية. يقول ولن أدفع الجزية. فإذا رفض أن يعبد الله ورفض أن يدفع الجزية، نقول له إذن ما لنا معك إلا القتال، فنقاتله لأجل هذا. فإن قتلناه فهو في النار، وإن أسرناه فهو من السبيل.
Now we got to get into what slavery is. So what you gonna do? Tell me about a fancy rendition of slavery that is different so we can let these motherfuckers off the hook? Are you serious? The one that is trying to present the slave master's trash to you and tell you now that they ain't enslave us. How the hell am I gonna allow him to speak on this show? It's supposed to be for educational purposes. I don't mind disagreeing with somebody, but this ain't gonna be like the other night with Bashir when he's trying what's the definition of good? All this craziness. Now, what is slavery, brother? Brother, you know what slavery I'm talking about. I'm talking about us being made into eunuchs. I'm talking about us not being able to reproduce ourselves. I'm talking about us not having the freedom and the privilege to be left to our own vices so we can advance our own society or destroy it of our own free will and of our own accord. That's what I'm talking about. So let's not play crazy when we talk about slavery. You ain't going to give me no fancy slavery, because I ain't talking about no fancy slavery. I ain't talking about no indentured servants. I know what you're talking about. I'm not crazy. I know the willing slavery, indentured servitude that people could go into and then be returned to their family. We're not going to play games like the slavery that I'm talking about didn't transpire within the confines of Islam. That is disrespectful to black people, and you are hiding the facts on behalf of your Arab slave master. You hiding for the Arab slave master, who, in my opinion, is worse than the white slave master. The white slave master monetized slavery and made niggas think it was more impressive to be a slave under the white man than the Arab, because the Arab is so damn vicious to us. You see all those mulattoes running around in Africa right now? You think light-skinned people naturally populated Africa? They double castrated us and raped the women by the millions. The man in the world leading and most babies ever made was a damn Muslim who had over 10,000 black men in servitude with their penises cut, and had the most women in bondage that were black women, and raped them Every last one of them. And who he couldn't rape, he let his soldiers rape them. And watered them down. And that's why you see the coolie hair Arab today that look a little like he's black. It look like he has, phenotypically it looks like he has some black features. And you're gonna ignore all of that and tell me no Muslim enslaved us? You gonna ignore all of that and see them black features on them Arabs and think that that is natural? All because you trying to protect the law? You can't do that.
A couple of minutes to
Not until you admit Muslims enslaved black people.
Hold up.
Hold on. You can't talk until you admit Muslims enslaved black people.
You gotta admit that, boss. Take you and cut you up and rape your women. And they
Yes.
claim that they're Muslim, but they are not Muslim.
I hear you.
The Quran.
They ain't have a Quran in their goddamn hand?
So if you show me the Quran where it says to castrate them, then I'll say, you know what, Quran? You're absolutely right.
Did Prophet Muhammad have slaves? Did Prophet Muhammad have slaves? Did Prophet Muhammad have slaves?
Prophet Muhammad didn't have slaves, brother.
Yo, I'm out of here. I'm done.
That was a passionate dialogue. And I understand his frustration. He just wants honesty. He wants somebody from that culture to just admit the truth, to just say it is what it is, and this actually happened. However, he danced around, as a lot of people like say, he buck danced around the answer, and then just flat out said, no, when the history will show you that from 642 AD, Arabs came into Africa, okay, and they invaded that place, and they treated black people in the worst way, from castrations to grapes to making them eunuchs to enslaving. That is part of world history, and that history does not get spoken about. And what happens, as you saw, it gets filtered down into their society because no one is speaking about it. And so what you have seen within this video is how a lot of black people are treated within the Arab world. And this is the culture that Myron comes from. And it's my personal opinion that the reason why he says what he says and does what he does is because he is a victim of the culture from where he came. You can all disagree with me. It's absolutely fine. It's just my opinion. I have been Sa Ra Garvey. I hope this has helped shed some light for people as to why somebody who is black can speak like this to another black person. You guys better like, you better share, you better comment, you better subscribe, because we'll be going deep, as we always do. I'll catch you on the flip side.